Good afternoon. Welcome to our Business Agility podcast for today. This is where we explore business technology topics and business topics without limit. We're here to help the small and medium-sized business owner. So today our topic is the ugly truth about tech demos. So what we're going to do is explore some ins and outs around if you're evaluating products and you want to see a demo of it and all that kind of stuff. So how best to go about and do that and try to avoid some of the pitfalls. So that's what we'll explore today. Our format, like always, is interactive. We have people that are joining us through our webinar platform that we're on now, as well as Samantha's just setting up the Facebook live stream. Ask us questions, throw some comments our way. We love your questions and comments and we will address them immediately. What our format is always, we're 30 minutes, we'll be in and out in that time. We'll get right into the topics after some short introductions here. So with that, I'll send it back to Sam and we'll kick that off.
Hey, look, I even unmuted myself on time today. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yep, so we are live on Facebook if you want to watch us from there. My name is Samantha Knighton-DeForge. I work with Aqurus Solutions as the Business Solutions Specialist. And as Murray just mentioned, we're all about subject matter expertise. And the one thing is that we do is we specialize in business solutions. And we really want to demystify this. We often have guest speakers that help join us and talk to their specific areas of expertise that they're most comfortable speaking with. So that's a little bit about us.
Yeah. I'm Steve Swenson. I'm a senior business solution consultant with Aqurus. I help out with a lot of different things. I've been doing demos and client software searches and implementations for about 25 years now. So this is a topic today that I'm very passionate about.
You're one of those ugly tech demoers. Wow. We're going to have some questions for you. It's Murray Quibell here. I'm the president of Aqurus Solutions. My background, I'm a CPA with a specialization in technology. I'll say one of my passions is that we believe that business technology if you're a small business owner, if you have the right technologies, this stuff should make you money every single day. So it should help you be more efficient and it should make you money every day. That's a passion that we drive towards, and we hope customers can join us on a path to get there. But the one thing that often they get tripped up in is they get wowed by some fancy demo and maybe choose the wrong product. And of course, sorry for that dig at you, Steve, earlier, but I mean, the way that Steve and we approach it is not to do that. It's to make sure that we address business. So address business issues and make sure that we're sitting down and understanding that first. But anyway, Sam, I'll throw it back to you to get into some first topic areas.
And I think there's one thing that, goes without saying. I think all three of us have a beverage going on at this very moment because this is something we're incredibly passionate about. There's always a lot of frustration from us as a software partner. So we're obviously here to help demystify the proper way of really getting your software journey and your business solution journey kicked off. So I guess the first place that I want to start today is tech demos. Companies, we got a company X and they say, we need to buy software. Go get us some demos. Okay, and this isn't earth shattering. It's either that's usually the first question, or the second question is usually like, what's the cost if they've seen something. So what do we think about when a company decides to go with, I want to see a tech demo, I want to see a product. They just called you up and that's what they want.
Yeah, that's very common. Everybody wants to see what the software looks like. That what it looks like and what it can do for you can be two entirely different perspectives. It can look really cool. It can maybe not look so as great as you might think you want it to be, but the main thing is you want it to do what your business needs. Like we talked about this in previous weeks of podcasts here about knowing what your requirements are beforehand. So one of the things that I find in here is people want to just see a generic demo. It's a waste of everyone's time because you're looking at generic data and generic features that you may or may not use. If it happens that the generic data that's in there happens to fit your company, honestly, it's a fluke.
It is a fluke, right? I mean, I think it's really rare that you'll see anyone fit the sort of generic demo criteria, right? I mean, if you're a distributor, and I think the second thing that goes with that too is the wow features.
Yes.
Companies often, if they're forced to show you a generic demo, will wow you with sometimes really useless technology that you might not even use, or just emphasize the importance of these wow features. And when you talk about flukes, I mean, we often talk about different scenarios where these demo scripts, are derived from, right? Us as software vendors and partners, we work with either a lot of, distributors, manufacturers, e-commerce. That's sort of where our specialty lies with Accurus. But I think a lot of people, are under the impression that businesses, whether you're a distributor, you might not operate the same way another company might.
Yeah, exactly. Two companies that could even manufacture the same thing can run completely differently. They have different requirements for how they do things, different steps, different processes. So just because somebody comes along, and I think we talked about it, somebody who manufactures candles is an example we talked about. Two different companies might have two different processes, and the software may fit for both of them, but you may not use it in the same manner. And we see that even with our existing customers now. They all manufacture things for resale, but they're vastly different on the steps they take and how they procure raw materials and all the different things that go with it. So you can't just assume that, oh, you're a manufacturer, here's a manufacturing demo.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's a prime example, right? I mean, we have customers that do manufacture, right? And I think we've come back to the candle example. If you manufacture candles, one company might manufacture in-house. The other company might manufacture through, an outside source or out of country or out of province. That's when I guess we talk about, candle manufacturers being different. I think that's something a lot of people aren't familiar with. So for us, if we have a partner that, for instance, manufactures candles and we're asked, to show a candle manufacturer a demo, we might just assume that they're outsourcing or they're not outsourcing. Whereas when we go into that demo, well, we've just missed the ball.
Right.
I think, a couple other things is though us as solutions providers, now we can't think to know, and no solution provider can know every industry in great detail. So if what we do is we sell software to candle manufacturers and distributors, candles might be unique, but the business requirements around distribution of goods, purchasing, selling, stocking, those kinds of things, as well as manufacturing it. Now, they may have a mix of outside processing, outsourced, or in-house, but the business there's a lot of commonality in that, and that's where us as a solution provider, or really any solution provider, should be able to come to the table with, and I'm not going to say a canned or generic demo, but you come to the table with a certain set of expertise that gets, so instead of needing to get into a lengthy business requirements gathering or needs assessment. I mean, I think that sometimes really grinds people the wrong way too. But really, you should be able to come to the table with a certain set of knowledge and a certain set of tools to really streamline that evaluation process. So I think that there's a little bit of on us. I think on us as tech providers, and when I'd say us, not just our company, the whole industry has often kind of gravitated towards showing demos and stuff like that. But I think we can all kind of raise the bar a little bit for sure.
Well, I think that, I think what people need to understand, that kind of comes back to what we spoke about last week, as well as you're not just, I think people really, the first place they need to start is that when they're purchasing or exploring business solutions, this is a company you're partnering with. Because this is long-term objectives. It works in our favor. We're not out there to get you. We're not out there to spite you. We're actually there to help you do things in a much more efficient and streamlined way. So I think first finding that trust, like we spoke about a few weeks ago, identifying the trusted vendor, focusing on that trusted vendor, and really, as a business, you should really know what your business procedures are, what your operational processes are, where you stand as a company before you even consider buying any sort of product. I mean, and that kind of is a segue into our next topic today, right? I know we wanted to get into this because how does a business owner know what they need to document, or how do we break this down a different way? Right?
Let me ask you that, Sam. So when you're, people will phone you or say, hey, I want to see a demo. And then if you ask them, hey, have you written down your key business requirements, or have you got that, what do you find? Do you find that companies have that well documented, or what's your experience around that?
I would probably say that 98% of businesses that I speak with do not have anything documented. The odd time we'll go in through something, when something's going through a consulting agency and, as an RFP, then the software consulting firms or, vendor referral firms or whoever they are, they say you have to document your processes. So a business will naturally do it then because somebody else has told them. But I mean, if someone calls me out of the blue and says, hey, I want to see a product demo, and I say, listen, let's spend an hour together on the phone. Let's really figure out why you're looking for a solution, why you're looking to fix something, what are your procedures currently, what are your pain points, and then let's get into the fun stuff. Because it really comes down to, looking and asking for a solution demo is essentially saying, I need to buy a vehicle. Okay, buy a vehicle. What do you need? A ship, a cargo ship, a boat, a transport truck, a Fiat? What do you need? Mm-hmm. So if I show you a cargo ship and you actually need a Vespa, or you need a Vespa now, but in a year you might need a cargo ship. These are the kinds of questions that I think partners typically like to ask.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time, wouldn't it be, if you're, kind of going in there driving your Vespa and they really do need a cargo ship, isn't it? It's a good example, because it's, I think that's kind of the case. If someone just shows you a demo, it's exactly that. They're just, sometimes these things go on for all day, and you're kind of going, sometimes customers are tuned out after the first 10 minutes because they've missed the mark, and then you haven't spent the time up front. Yeah.
Well, business solutions exist to address procedures and procedural and operational problems. It's, having an audit trail is one night, it's a nice to have, and it's really what happens, but it's really emphasizing having a company operationally streamline their crap. Be more efficient, be more in tune, have more control over your business. That's my thought on it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what.
For me, when I sit there and I say, spend an hour with me. Spend an hour with me. Let me know what you're looking for. Because if you tell me that you just need an accounting system, I'll show you a Vespa. And in 2 years, you're saying, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to need a boat. I'm going to tow a boat because, our growth rate has been like this. So I'm going to need a boat tower in a couple of years. Well, why on earth would you buy a Vespa or a Fiat if you're going to need a boat in like 6 months, to tow a boat in 6 months?
Right.
These are the kinds of thoughts you got to think about.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Some people, when you talk about vehicles and cars, some people will buy a really nice car and leave it in their driveway. That's not what you're doing when you're buying some tech. Tech is designed, it's a tool to make you better. So you're not buying this Ferrari to sit in your driveway and look nice, or sit on your desk and be a really nice looking tool. You want it to be functional. So as you said, if it needs to tow a boat, guess what? Or trailer of any kind, you need to know that going in. So what you're going to use it for is always the first thing you need to ask when you're going in.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think, Steve, you had the office space, I think, analogy too that you've used in the past, right?
Yeah, that's the one that we used to use. We talked with we did a lot of work with construction companies over the years, and one of the things that we talked about, and it worked across all industries, when somebody says, hey, I need an office space. Okay, here's a great space in a building that's 10,000 square feet. Okay, the customer then says, oh, I didn't tell you, I need it to be offices. I don't need it to be warehouse space, or vice versa. Or maybe I need more desk space or less desk space, or maybe I need big roll-up doors. You have to know those things before you go in. And maybe 10,000 square feet is too big. Or you're a manufacturer and you need 100,000 square feet. There's a lot of questions. It's the same idea when you're looking for an office, which is another tool for your business. The software is the same way, or any of the tech you buy, whether it's laptops or printers or any of those things. You need to know what you're using it for, and are you buying the right one to fit your need?
Well, I think, I think a lot of businesses, they buy the bare minimum. They don't address issues long term, and they don't think ahead. And I think something a lot of companies need to think about is really streamlining your operations to reach a point in time when you're looking for a solution if your mindset is for the present and not thinking even 3 or 6 months down the road, that's obviously going to be, it's a danger. So, and that kind of comes back, yeah, you know, it is a danger of technology if you're not thinking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking in the now, you know, it's like, oh, you know what, we need, you know, we need timesheets, or we need expenses, or we need asset management, or we need accounting. And you just go and you just bolt on one system, and then you just think, oh, you know what, we'll just figure this out in a year. Well, you've just wasted a lot of time.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me throw. Sorry, Steve.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we've used the office space analogy the same way. If I buy office space for exactly what I need today, but then 2 months from now or 6 months from now, I have more staff or I need more functionality, do I buy another building? Do I just put a shed in the backyard and do this? No, you want to plan for that stuff so that it's all in one office. When you need to start doing those things, it's in one space.
One of the things, and so I'm openly musing or wondering why companies consistently do just say, well, just show me the demo, I want to see it. And one of the things I want to explore, one of the reasons they do that is that most companies are, if they're looking at improving tech within their company, they are looking at expanding, or they're a growing company. They're trying to do more. So they're already in that mindset, which is good. But I think a lot of them, they might go, okay, well, we may have an old system or an old set of devices, or whatever it is kind of they use, and they may not be sure what some of the new features are that are in the market. They've heard about, you know, buzzwords such as AI and machine learning, ML, and blockchain. They hear about API, you know, application programming interface. They hear all these things, and their mind starts to get blown around it. But then I think that might cause them to gravitate to say, well, just show me what it is, and then I'll start to see if any of that stuff resonates in my business. But then, and so I can kind of see why they do that, because they may not be sure. They may be out of touch with technology over the last few years, and they want to see what's out there. But what are the dangers in that? What do you guys see around that?
Well, I think, I mean, just to even think, I don't know if that's exactly the reason. I think a lot of people are still under the impression that an ERP solution, whether it's QuickBooks and Excel, whether it's an accounting system, whether it is an ERP, I just think a lot of people are still under the impression that it's just an audit trail. And I think that's another aspect of it.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I think that when traditionally, if you think back to in the past, you know, people still call some of that stuff accounting software. Well, it's, you know, we don't like, you know, it can do a whole lot more than that. And again, it can make sure that, you know, you're affecting some kind of a positive result on your customers and your margins every day. But that does get totally into real time business operations. But if we think about some kind of a device, and whether it's a piece of equipment or a new, piece of a drafting or design piece of equipment, or whatever the business is, I think, again, there's new technology that evolves every day. And I think in some cases, people do need to understand, okay, what is new out there? How might it affect my business? And but I think what happens, people can get swayed by some of these shiny objects and then start to lose sight of what's really important. Hey?
Oh, that's one thing. I think what really, I mean, everyone knows what drives me mental is when accounting drives a decision for an operational based decision. Sorry, Marie. I think that's another risk. And I think that's another reason. I think far too long, you know, the accounting perspective of systems has just been that it's just an audit trail. I mean, if you want an accounting system, my God, just run QuickBooks. Run QuickBooks and Excel, because it's much cheaper. And you're really not going to get a whole lot out of an accounting system. So, I mean, for me, you know, you sit there and you go, okay, well, what do we do? What does a business do? And where's the place that they start in order to really figure out their solution journey?
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's switch directions and say, okay, we know that there's a bit of an ugly truth to tech demos. We know that it sometimes takes people down the path. So to your point there, Sam, what should companies do if they're looking at evaluate tech in some way? What are some best practices or thoughts around that?
I mean, my biggest thing, I think, is definitely documenting operational processes and requirements and your pain points. And knowing where you stand as a company first, know what your procedures are internally, what your operations look like internally, what your accounting looks like internally, and then take all that information and then narrow it down to the solutions that you have in the market.
one of the things
That kind of sounds painful. You know what I mean? As a business owner, you go, "Oh crap, how am I going to do that?" But what are some best practices or tips and tricks? Sam or Steve?
I think Steve's muted. I don't know. I can't hear him. But I don't know, maybe his headset, he's got his headphones in. But I mean, for me, I think it's more, yeah, documenting business requirements, business processes. There is a whole, whole world around this when we talk about Six Sigma, or we talk about different certifications that can really help break down the barriers of how to gather requirements. But I would even say, get an idea of what you need as a company. Do you need project? Do you need manufacturing? Do you need advanced planning? Do you need scheduling, estimating? Think about it from a high level, and then break that down and ask all the 5 W's and the H, or whatever it is, the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Who's going to use this? Why do we need it? What do we need it for? And ask all the questions against every industry or every module or every sort of part of your business, and then narrow it down from a high level, and then work with a partner to find the right solution.
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of where I was going to go. And again, I'm tend to be a little techie and a little analytical. But one of the tips and things that I would talk to anybody, a small business owner in particular, is just write some stuff down. Just take out a piece of paper, or take out a Word document, or take out an email and write down some stuff. Either write down, and again, be very simple around that, but just write down what things are working well and what's not. What is causing you pain? So that's to Samantha's point. What are some pain points? But just start to write down some things, and then maybe give some thought as to what things you might want to do better. But I would just say, start with a blank piece of paper and write it down, and then do the same with some of the other key people in your organization. It's always wise to involve as many people as possible in this kind of thing, but you have to decide as an organization how many people you want to reach out and how many people you want to have weigh in. But again, just have them write some stuff down. Now, as your organization gets larger, then yeah, that's a case where you might need some facilitation around that. You might need to bring in a business consultant or some kind of a company or person that you trust to help you through that. And then there's lots of tools, there's lots of methodologies that can help flesh out those business requirements, assign a weighting, but that really sets you up for an evaluation, a proper evaluation process based on the stuff that's really important. But like I say, for the average small business owner, it's surprising. And like Samantha mentioned, I don't know if it's 98%, but it sure seems like that over the last few, kind of companies we've talked to, they have nothing. You say, well, how have you evaluated this? Oh, I don't have anything. And that's really surprising, but just start to write something down.
Well, and I think another thing is to keep an open mind, right? I mean, it comes back to the Vespa analogy. If we go in with a generic demo, I mean, we wouldn't do that as a partner anyways. It's just not the way we operate. We work with businesses. We say, okay, what exactly do you need to see? Because and how do you operate? We ask questions. And if you have, someone reaching out saying, I just want to see a demo. Well, sorry, but we're not just going to show you a demo. And I probably wouldn't, and maybe the most absolutely rarest of cases, but for the most part, it's going to be a no. You're going to spend some time with me or with Murray or with Steve or whoever it might be. You're going to let us know why you're looking for a solution, what you need to do, and we're going to then craft out the right solution to show you. Because if I go in there and I give you a demo of a Vespa, and then you tell me that you need a cargo ship, you're just going to say, oh, you know what, the product didn't do what it needed to do, so it wasn't a good fit for us. I've spoken to companies in the past saying, oh, we've actually explored Acumatica and it wasn't for us. And I sit there and I think, you guys are textbook, out of the box functionality. What could have possibly gone wrong that, you're under the impression that, we can't fulfill a sales order or distribute goods, or we can't track fixed assets, or we can't track time, whatever the scenario is. But I mean, for me, it's mind-blowing how people say, oh yeah, we've actually explored this and, it wasn't a right fit. I'm like, so, okay, you went with something different.
I'm going to share another ugly truth. Are you ready? So on our website, we've just talked about the ugly truth of demos. On our website, there's a big green button that says request a demo. And so as much as, so what and if you press that big green button, what that will do is create a form and stuff like that. And we're not just going to fly around and show you a demo. So that's, again, we're going to try to understand your business requirements first. But the point being is, us as a software company, we've just talked about some of the pitfalls of doing that. But we have to put a button on our website because that's what the average user is looking for. So we're trying to conform to what they're looking for. And that's why we have the big green button. But the reality is that now with us and most tech out there these days, you can actually see a demo of the product through YouTube and through customer stories and things like that. And that's really now today in this technology, that's where you can get those generic demos really efficient. They're on demand, you can watch them whenever you want, and you can see a library. And if you don't like, if landed cost isn't relevant for you, well, then click on the integrated e-commerce demo and that kind of stuff. But anyway, those are just some things around demos. You do need to see the product somewhere along the way. That totally makes a ton of sense. But it's just totally relevant to make sure that what you're looking at is what matches up with what you really need.
Steve, your mic's still broken or what? I don't think so. It is still broken.
Oh yeah, you're really silent.
You are silent.
It's kind of muffled.
I wonder why. Oh yeah, I read his lips. It said sorry. There you go, adding lip reading to my resume.
I think you should go view some demos of some mics, Steve, and then pick up one, and that actually kind of works better.
And yeah, I think with 4 minutes here left remaining, the one thing I do want to really talk about is the ugly truth of tech demos is there is a lot. There's a couple of features. You're going to see the wow features that might not be relevant to you. You might see the Vespa when you need a cargo ship. There's a lot of issues. You might see an office that has a lot of manufacturing space, but you actually need office space, or you actually need bay doors, and there is a lot of ugly truths when it comes to starting with that, because you're just going to make a lot of assumptions. You're going to think that an ERP system, for whatever reason, can't handle accounting. That's happened to us in the past, and that's the kind of ugly truths that come out of this.
And so how do we get past that? I think we shared a few tips. Any kind of closing thoughts in terms of just what the average, business owner should do?
I'd say, keep an open mind. Remember that a business solution is not just an audit trail. Really document the who, what, where's, why's, and how's of every operational scenario you have at your company, whether it's manufacturing, e-commerce requirements, website design, distribution, project, asset management, time tracking. Really identify where your pain points are, even at a high level, and then start doing your research. And if you are too big of a company, like Murray mentioned, definitely go and look at, software solution consulting firms. We work with one out of BC that, they help companies and customers really facilitate solutions, because, and I know just as the unfortunate truth is there is no right way to do this. There is no course that, teaches you. This is a fairly newer, part of business, and there would be great if there was a course that taught, how do you look for a business solution?
Maybe
we'll do that.
Well, I know we have in one of our upcoming podcasts, I think in November, Sam, is that we have one of people that we've worked with in the past, and he's actually developed his own methodology, and it's amazing around, again, the body of knowledge of how one goes about and evaluates a business solution is just all over the map. And so how do you streamline that? How do you boil real business requirements into a technical requirement? But anyway, he has an excellent tool that he's designed, and we'll bring him into a podcast upcoming. But I think that's certainly one of the key areas is how do you kind of get from place where you think you need something to actually getting it. I would probably close with, don't be afraid of technology. There's a lot of new technology that can really help you in your business. And some of the emerging stuff that we are seeing with Internet of Things and different automation, there's some real value in there. And so, don't be afraid of it. Just make sure that you're looking at it from the right angle, and that, you're not being swayed by some kind of a shiny object. Make sure that your business requirements and what you think you're going to get out of it are well understood first.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So stay aware of, the big flashy tech demos that, you know, usually rope people in with wow features. And stay tuned for our next podcast, which is going to be next week. And I think that one's on implementation methodologies. You can definitely check out our website, register for the podcast series there. You can check us out on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the same time. But with that being said, we look forward to seeing you all next Thursday at 2 p.m. for our next video podcast.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks
See you
for
next
watching.
week.